We're in Las Vegas, and the big show tonight is the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. The stars are being introduced to the fans, and in Vegas style, they're coming right out of the grandstands. The Craftsman Truck Series heads west into Sin City as the truckers try their luck at this mile-and-a-half speedway. 7 races remain in the 2004 season, and there are still some long shots who may be this year's champion.
I know who I'm betting.
Some guys have been lucky here before. The crews have battled in the Vegas sun all day, waiting for the action to start as things cool down. The lights come on for some NASCAR racing, Vegas style. We're at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and we can see the strip from here. That is Sin City. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is presented by Craftsman. When in the desert, it gets very warm, and as we're past 7 o'clock current time, local time, it's over 90 degrees here currently. The Truck Series points race has really begun to heat up among 3 separate drivers.
Bobby Hamilton getting gas and right side tires only. What was their strategy? They needed to lead a lap. He'll give up all this track position now and go deep in the field. He did it all for 5 points.
There's 29 trucks on the lead lap, so right now he's driving around some of them on the outside.
We're hearing that the Ford truck of Bobby Hamilton will be black flag for jumping the start. NASCAR's going to call him in for a penalty. If this race ended right now, that would put Dennis Setzer back in the point lead and Bobby Hamilton back to 4 behind. Carl Edwards moves up inside of 50.
Everyone has closed the gap on Bobby Hamilton.
Well, Dennis Setzer has won 2 races already this year on mile-and-a-half racetracks. Both of those chassis were different. One was called Ike, one is called Cheryl. Neither of those are here tonight, but they had another great qualifying effort. And Dennis, I got to believe this gives you great confidence to qualify this well. But why didn't you bring one of those winning trucks here tonight to Vegas?
Well, this truck's performed pretty well for us at Michigan and some other places right there. We've done a lot of work. Timmy Rice and Danny Gill and all the guys done a lot of body work on this thing. We feel like it's one of our best trucks in the shop right now. We'll see how our Silverado does.
Is it good enough to win?
I know it's been pretty good all during practice right there. Kind of surprised us on the qualifying lap how good it actually was right there. It's going to be pretty good.
Okay, good luck tonight. That's Dennis Setzer. Now let's check in with Wendy.
Thanks, Ray. Carl Edwards is probably trucking the most miles this weekend as he left over Delaware from the Cup race, came out west to Las Vegas, and you're going back on the plane to head back to Dover tonight. But your focus remains on the Truck Championship. You're chomping away half the amount of points every race. How thrilled have you been at that?
I'm really thrilled. You know, we want to win this thing for Super Chips. They're back there hopefully making it through the storm in Orlando, and we want to get this championship really badly, and we've been having great fortune, and hopefully it continues tonight.
Now, your results at Las Vegas haven't been all that great. You've had blown engines both times you run here. You're qualified 15th for tonight. How's your truck?
I think it's really, really good. We kind of blew it in qualifying, we as an I, and I think we're going to be pretty good in race trim. I mean, Cowboy's been making great calls. Ed's been putting us a great engine in the thing, and we want to bring this one home for everybody back there in Missouri. We got Larry Phillips. We lost him last week. He's one of the greatest short trackers in the world, and we're thinking about all you guys back home, but this is going to be a good event. I'm excited.
This truck, number 37, is a proven winner on the mile-and-a-half tracks. He won with it earlier this season at Kansas City. Rick?
Thank you, Wendy. The 4 top 10 point standings show Bobby Hamilton's grip on the top spot slipping. In the last 2 races, Bobby has lost 66 points of his lead over Dennis Setzer and 107 points to Carl Edwards. Matt Crafton continues to impress with his top 5 position in the point standings. Crafton leads all drivers with 13 top 10 finishes this year. Hello, everyone. I'm Rick Allen alongside of Phil Parsons and Chad Little. Now, Phil, is Bobby Hamilton looking ahead to that championship?
Rick, Bobby Hamilton has maintained the entire second half of this season that he is not points racing. He's not even thinking about the points. Well, we saw just a few moments ago at Loudon that he was in fact points racing. He stayed out on the caution when the caution flag came out, did not pit to get 5 bonus points. Well, that compounded with a couple other circumstances relegated him to a 15th place finish. What could have been a possibly winning truck. He took the 15th, lost a lot of points while he was trying to points race. So Bobby Hamilton is definitely looking to these points.
Now, Chad, is Bobby Hamilton going against the odds with the way he sets his truck up tonight?
You know, this is really interesting. I talked to Bobby earlier, and most of the time at a high-speed 160-mile-an-hour racetrack like Las Vegas, when the temperatures cool down, the track gets a lot of grip in it. The majority of teams feel that this grip is going to make their trucks tight. The front end's going to want to wash up the racetrack and push. Bobby feels that this additional grip is going to make his truck loose. The back end's going to want to swing out. Hopefully Bobby's right. He's gambling a little bit. Handling is very, very important here, but at Las Vegas, you got to gamble to win.
Well, when in Vegas, you gamble. And so Bobby Hamilton making a gamble tonight. Jack Sprague, the only two-time winner in Las Vegas, in the field tonight. He's a three-time champion in this series. We'll be back with more of the Las Vegas 350 right after these messages. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is brought to you by Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR and the NHRA. Just 7 races remain in the 2004 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series season. 7 races until the new champion is crowned. Hamilton, Setzer, Edwards have all solidified their chances of being this year's champion. However, there are 3 long shots that should not be counted out. Travis Kvapil, Matt Crafton, and Ted Musgrave each need a few more miracles for things to fall into place. Kvapil certainly found his miracle last year in Homestead. The competition is just as tough as it was last year. With only a few races to go, it will not be easy for anyone. As we see the graphic, the points margin with 7 races to go of the eventual champions. Only 5 of them had been leading with 7 races to go, and you see Ron Hornaday Jr. was the furthest back with 7 races to go at 57 points.
Well, Rick, right now Travis Kvapil is in the 6th position. He's 188 points behind. Historically, you say, hey, it's not going to happen. It's never happened before. But Carl Edwards gained 165 points on our leader in the last 3 races. So is it impossible for Travis Kvapil to jump up front? No.
I agree with you, Phil. Mathematically, it certainly isn't impossible. The difficulty is he has to leapfrog or get ahead of 4 or 5 other trucks. That's what makes it difficult. Those other 4 guys have to fall out of races. That's hard to happen, especially as competitive as the Truck Series is this year.
One guy who's been extremely competitive this year, Bobby Hamilton. He's our points leader, and he's currently standing by with Wendy.
Well, Rick, actually he's standing by with Ray, but I wanted to talk to Bobby Hamilton about the last couple of weeks. You've lost some points, and I know you're not points racing. However, what have you learned in these last 2 races that helps you move forward?
Well, I mean, you learn to try not to make them same mistakes twice, and we have had a pretty sound system throughout the year. We just got something thrown at us that we hadn't had any experience with in New Hampshire, and that can happen again. We hope not, but pulled all the people together. It was actually their idea. I was going to back off and leave it alone and let them figure out on their own, but they pulled a big meeting together. They're within themselves. That made me feel pretty good, and they talked through their mistakes. So it's just a communication deal, just miscommunication. This race team has been very stout in that area, and the crew chief and the spotter worked on it, and I think we'll be good.
Okay, well, this guy's already got a couple of wins on 1.5-mile tracks this year, and now let's check back in with Wendy.
Thanks, Ray. There's only 2 drivers in the top 10 points that have not won this season. One of those drivers is Mike Skinner. The other one is Matt Crafton. Matt, with only 7 races to go, how hungry are you for that first win?
Very, very hungry. Kevin's been putting pressure on us to win. We're good in points right now, but don't want to win a championship without a win. So this GM Goodwrench Silverado, we'll get it up front and keep it up front all night.
Now, talking about points, sitting 4th in the points, 154 points out. What is your goal after tonight's race? How much do you want to cut that deficit?
I want to cut the deficit every week, and we want to win. We want to be competitive every week, and had a bad qualifying effort last week, and didn't qualify too bad tonight. And these guys are gonna have real good pit stops today. They dig me out of some of my holes that I bury myself in for my qualifying, but these guys are awesome in the pits.
Now, you qualified 11th, and you look pretty stout in your race runs. How's the truck feel?
It was real good. I mean, when we first went out today, we were number 1 on the board and stayed there pretty much all of practice right till the end. I mean, we got off a little bit in the middle of practice and got pretty tight, but Wally did a real good job. We got it freed up, and hopefully the track's going to tighten up a little bit, because if not, it's going to be a long night.
It will be. Matt Crafton may not have a win, but his consistency has paid off. He leads the series with the most top 10s. Ray?
Well, Wendy, it took me a long time to get all the way back here to 26. Ted Musgrave, you used this same truck just a couple of weeks ago to win at Richmond, but not a good qualifying effort. What happened?
Well, they said the race was pretty boring at Richmond. I only passed 2 trucks, so we figured if we start back here, we got more excitement. Sounds like a good excuse, doesn't it?
Nice try.
Yeah, I know. How many did I fool that time? But, oh, no, the Mopar truck's really good in race trim. But when we put a qualifying package on it, more or less, it was really loose. And we just figured out that the stagger was really off, too. So it's going to come alive. It's just, like you say, we're going to have to start back here and work our way back up to the front.
All right, it'll be fun to watch Ted Musgrave through the field.
The Orleans Dodge, number 62, now driven by Steve Park, was piloted by Brendan Gaughan 1 year ago when he dominated this race. Brendan Gaughan wants to show everyone that he is best. He's having a lot of fun out in front of this pack right now. Brendan Gaughan will win the Las Vegas 350.
This guy has fun with victory
lane. Welcome to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Las Vegas 350 on Speed Channel. Another beautiful crowd for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. The Las Vegas 350 live on Speed Channel tonight. And to kick things off, let's go down for pre-race activities on pit road.
Ladies and gentlemen, remain standing, please, for tonight's invocation. Tonight's invocation will be given by Las Vegas Motor Speedway chaplain, Mr. Kenny Farmer. And remain standing, please, for tonight's national anthem, performed by Miss Michaelina Bellamy.
Dear Heavenly Father, we stand before you tonight in total awe of all you do to bless us each and every day. Father, thank you tonight for the freedom to enjoy this great sport we love so very much. We ask for your protection for all our men and women in harm's way that give us this freedom. Protect every driver, watch over every team, bless those who operate this beautiful facility, and thank you for these wonderful fans. Most of all, Father, we thank you for the love and grace you extend to us every day. For it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free?
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Miss Michaelina Bellamy.
Our race is moments away. The crews are ready, and the drivers are climbing into their trucks. We'll be back with more on Speed Channel. Craftsman's giving away 19 autographed toolboxes that include a full set of tools this year. All you have to do is enter on speedtv.com. You guess the winner of our next race correctly, and your name will be entered into a drawing. And if you're selected, you win your very own stock toolbox autographed by that race's winner. Who picked Travis Kvapil, Bill?
Rick, we had almost 1,400 entries. 36 of them correctly picked Travis Kvapil, and of those 36, Jeff Terpstra of Vicksburg, Michigan was drawn as our winner, and he'll get the toolbox.
Very good, and congratulations to Jeff. Ray standing by with Mike Skinner. Ray?
Well, keep in mind, Mike Skinner has 16 career victories in this division. 5 of those have come from the pole, but Mike, when you used to win from the pole, there wasn't a big bonus like tonight. You got an extra 20 grand to shoot for your crew.
Cool, I didn't know that, Ray. That's a good thing, but our little Tundra's been awfully good today. Hopefully it'll be good tonight. John Munson and all the guys have done a good job, and the Toyota folks have really put a good engine in this truck, and we're hoping for the best. I want to thank all the folks that participate in our website, MikeSkinner.com, for showing up out here in Vegas. We had something to do with them last night. And we just had a lot of fun, and I just want to thank Toyota and all these guys and Bill and Gail Davis.
Okay, Mike Skinner on the pole, and now let's check in with his former teammate. He's standing by with Wendy.
Last weekend, Loudon Travis Kvapil ended the night in victory lane. Tonight, he starts deep in the field at 17th. Travis, in 3 starts here at Vegas, you've never finished worse than 4th. Did Eric Phillips, your crew chief, get this truck dialed in?
Well, I hope so. I mean, everybody on the Toyota All-Star Showdown truck's doing a great job tonight, or this afternoon. We struggled being pretty loose off the truck since we got here. And a lot of guys are sliding around today. We're on a little bit different tire than what we usually run at this type of racetrack, and I think it's throwing a lot of us for a loop. But we were pretty free this afternoon, and hopefully it'll tighten up tonight in the dark.
Travis Kvapil makes his 90th Truck Series start. I think Ray's with one of our rookie contenders.
I am, Wendy, and that is David Rudiman, and he had such a great run at Atlanta. Another 1.5 mile track. David, another good qualifying effort. Are you good enough to win tonight?
I think we are. I mean, obviously the track changes, temperature's a lot different than it was when we practiced. So we'll have to wait and see how it shakes out. Got to say hi to Bobby Kennedy back home. Couldn't be out here with us this weekend. We're thinking of him, and we're going to try and win one for him tonight.
Okay, good luck. He'll have Jason Overstreet on top of the box tonight. Wendy?
Hank Parker starts 5th tonight, his best start of the season. Hank, how is your truck? It seems like it's been good all day in practice.
Yeah, we've got a pretty good truck. It's a brand new truck. We haven't ever raced it before, so I was real happy to have something this fast right off the truck, and we're looking forward to tonight's race. I'm pretty excited about getting this Airbest Toyota Tundra to the front.
Hank Parker's never raced here in a truck, but he has plenty of Busch experience with 4 starts. Let's go to Ray.
All right, Wendy, let's talk to Jack Sprague, because what I saw in practice today, you were awfully good. Tell me about this race truck.
I think we're pretty good. I mean, Chevy Truck Silverado was good and solid all day in the heat. Who knows what we're dealt with now. I'm hoping just more grip, but the truck drove great. The motor ran great. Surprisingly, this is our best qualifying on the speedway, 4th, and that's with a bobble. So I sure would love to win here again. I mean, we need another win this year. We've been so close so many times, and it's time for our luck to turn around a little bit.
Okay, good luck. That is Jack Sprague. As he said, he's got a couple of wins right here at this track from the pole. Now it's time to get this race started. Let's go.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome back to the microphone the president of Las Vegas Events, Mr. Pat Christensen, with the 4 most famous words in motorsports.
3. Drivers, start your engines!
The engines are fired up. The showgirls helping out in Vegas, and that's only Vegas style when you're at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The trucks will be pulling onto the track momentarily, and we'll be back with the start of tonight's race. Welcome back. The trucks are rolling onto the track. We'll take a look at the U.S. Army starting grid. Mike Skinner claims his first pole since 1996. A veteran starting row. Dennis Setzer will start on the outside of him.
Jack Sprague has finished in the top 2 positions 4 times here at Las Vegas, starts 4th.
On the inside of row 4, Brandon Miller jumps into the Team ASE CarQuest Dodge number 2 and has a great qualifying effort, qualifying 7th.
Ty Bodine inside row number 5, a former Busch winner here at this racetrack back in 2001.
There's 2 of our points guys right up there trying to fight for that championship, Bobby Hamilton and Matt Crafton.
In 7th row, David Starr and Kelly Sutton. A great qualifying effort. That's a personal best for her, qualifying 14th tonight in that 02 Team Copaxson Chevrolet.
There's our 3rd place point man. Carl Edwards starts inside row number 8. He had a great truck in practice. He's going to make the long trek back to Dover tonight after this race.
And there's Steve Park starting in row number 9 with the Orleans sponsorship.
Rick Crawford, 4 top 10s in 6 starts here at Las Vegas.
Shane Meal had such a good run going at Loudon until he ran out of fuel with just a few laps to go. Looks to get his first career victory.
Ted Musgrave starts all the way back on the outside of row 13. He's going to have to work his way up to the front if he wants to stay in contention for that points championship.
There's the 2003 West Series champion of NASCAR, Scott Lynch, starts on the inside of row number 15 in his Orleans Dodge.
There's Andy Houston in his new ride, the 59 truck.
Rounding out the field, 36 trucks will start tonight's race. Take a look at the Craftsman track description. This 1.5 mile speedway.
You know, I want to point out, you heard all the drivers saying they weren't really sure what their truck was going to do tonight. Remember, practice today was in the heat of the day. I mean, it was 95, 100 degrees track temperature, well over that. So the drivers were practicing it during that heat. The track has cooled down a lot. It has a lot more grip now. That's why you hear the drivers saying, well, I hope the track tightens up, because all of their trucks were sliding around today.
In our Craftsman race analysis, 36 trucks will start. It's 146 laps. It's called the Las Vegas 350. That's 350 kilometers or 219 miles.
As you see, the purse just under $500,000. Pit window somewhere between 60 or 70 laps, which means that nobody will be able to make this race on one pit stop. It will be at least a 2 pit stop race.
We'll be riding along with Carl Edwards. He'll start in the 15th starting position. And earlier today, he talked about having a very balanced truck.
David Starr starts 13th in the Spears Manufacturing Chevrolet. David won this race 2 years ago and finished second last year.
And we're also with Jack Sprague in the 16 truck. He also has an in-car camera and past winner of this race.
We'll be riding along with our pole sitter as well. Mike Skinner starts up front. Again, he hasn't started up front since 1996. The Craftsman win from the pole award. By winning tonight's race from the pole position, Skinner can win $20,000 for his team. But if Mike doesn't win from the pole tonight, then another $2,000 will again be added to the prize money, and the purse continues to grow in $2,000 increments until someone wins it. Ray?
Hey, Rick, let's just talk about some statistics here. Now, there's lots of times whenever statistics don't mean much, but if you'll take a look on your screen, you will see that Bobby Hamilton has the very best average finish in 2004 when we look at the 5 races we've already run on 1.5 mile racetracks. But look down just a little bit further. You see Matt Crafton's name? A 6.2 average finish. He had a great qualifying effort tonight, and I think Matt Crafton has his best shot at winning a race that he's had all year. Matt Crafton, a good average finish on 1.5 miles, and I think he might be the man to beat. Wendy?
Thanks, Ray. As I went through the garage this afternoon and we talked fuel mileage to a lot of these teams, the pit window tonight is between 60 and 70 laps, but one of the trucks I talked to said they can go as far as 73 laps, but with the way the track is going to tighten up and looking at the tires and how they lasted in practice today, they only lasted about 48 to 55 laps and the cord started showing on those tires. So most likely these trucks will be coming in for tires before they will fuel, guys.
Well, thank you, Wendy. Phil, I'm going to put you on the spot. With 7 races to go, who do you think is the favorite for the championship?
Rick, I think by virtue of the fact that Carl Edwards has been so strong here lately, really has been strong all year long. Now he's doing double duty every week. He's running a Nextel Cup car also. Most people think that may be a detriment because he's so busy and so torn between the 2 different vehicles. But I think it's going to do nothing but help him. 4 of our remaining races are run in conjunction with the Nextel Cup cars. So he will be getting double the track time prior to the truck race starting. So I think that's just going to make him stronger and stronger. He's excited about it. Cowboy and them, they've been there. This Roush team has won championships before. He's my pick.
Championship contenders at Vegas. Bobby Hamilton with 1 start. His best finish is 10th. And you see the best finish at Vegas, Ted Musgrave, who's currently in 4th in the point standings right now. But consistency could play out for Travis Kvapil.
You know, you've got to give the championship, you have to look towards Bobby Hamilton. He's the leader right now. Everyone's chasing him. He's got my pick.
Right now, everyone is chasing Mike Skinner because he will bring the field to the green flag. And we're about to get underway with the Las Vegas 350.
Only 12 degrees of banking. You almost run wide open here. The drivers of these trucks don't think about hitting the brakes unless there's a problem. They really float them in fast, try to carry a lot of speed through the center. There's a lot of throttling at this racetrack.
Chad, as you mentioned, these trucks have not been on the racetrack since earlier this afternoon in the heat of the day. So right now their air pressures are down real low. They want to make sure with a full fuel load, they want to make sure they get a few laps under their belt before these trucks will really come around to be to their liking.
They'll drop the air pressure as much as 6 pounds. We see Bobby Hamilton right there side by side with Bill Lester going down to turn number 1.
Deborah Renshaw on the 29 Ford making her way onto pit road. Problems with that truck.
See a tire mark on the door there. I'm not sure if she didn't make some contact with somebody.
Field beginning to form a single file line as the 99 of Carl Edwards making his way through the field.
Don't let it fool you, though. This track can handle side-by-side racing 2 wide without a problem. Even 3 wide, the corners are wide enough for that.
David Starr looked like he might make it 3 wide there for a moment. He's right behind the 38 truck of Brandon Witt. Denny Hamlin, the 0-3 on the outside. Very good qualifying run for Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, David Starr, another former winner at this track back in 2002.
How about that 2 truck there? Brandon Miller, first ride ever in that truck. Done such a great job. Qualified 7th. There's Deborah Renshaw again.
Coming back out of the pits.
See if we can see what happened to Deborah.
Deborah backing off. Ken Weaver coming across.
There was a little chain reaction. Ken had to get on the binders really hard to keep him running the truck in front of him. He swerved into Deborah.
She got hit from the left side and the right side.
A little sandwich action.
And early on, NASCAR is reporting the possibility of the 16 of Jack Sprague leaving oil on the track.
Wow, how devastating that would be for Jack Sprague. He's admittedly, see Matt Crafton go to the inside of Brandon Miller. Got to be careful. You get really loose on the inside of another truck. Look at Brandon gets loose on the outside of Matt Crafton.
Side-by-side racing. Carl Edwards on the inside of Todd Bodine, almost making contact as the Super Chips Ford makes the pass on the 30 Toyota.
I think there's a lot of sliding around going right now. You see, again, because of the low air pressure, it's full of fuel. These trucks really won't take a good set for at least 10 or 15 laps into this run as they burn a little fuel out and get the air pressures up, Chad.
You know, I think a lot of the reason that the drivers love this place is you can charge the corners really hard and the track is forgiving. And what I mean by that, there's a 16 truck being called in for a penalty, it looks like. We talked about it maybe putting some oil down.
It would be such a bad break. They're obviously out of the point race. Ray, what's going on down there?
Phil, they really have no idea, but Dave Fuge Sr. is up on the roof. He's the spotter, and he said it looks like there's some oil, but these guys are getting ready to put oil in here, or excuse me, put water in it, and they're going to try to pull some tape off of the front of the grill. So they'll put the hood up, and they use the quick change machine here to put some cold water into this thing. Sprague has said nothing about his gauges so far on the radio. They'll see if that helps by putting some water into the radiator.
3 wide racing in Las Vegas. Now they break back down into 2 wide. But amazing racing early on. We're only 7 laps into it.
That's as Chad, you mentioned, this racetrack is so racy. You're going to go at least 2 wide, at least maybe even 3 wide, all the way around this racetrack.
You know, and that gaggle of cars right there is 14th to about 30th place, and they're just about a quarter straightaway behind the leaders.
It's almost 3 wide again. Look at Steve Parker on the inside trying to make a pass on Brandon Witt and Denny Hamlin.
That shakes out as the 15 of Shane Meal on the outside also trying to make some passes.
This track is glass smooth, everyone. I'm talking as smooth as a racetrack can be. There's only one little bump, and that's coming out of turn number 4. That's another reason the drivers really like to get aggressive here.
Denny Hamlin, Steve Parks, side by side around this 1.5 mile tri-oval.
Steve Parks' shop is about 100 yards from where we are right now on top of this racetrack. That's where they keep the Orleans Dodge. They race this entire Truck Series schedule from right here in Las Vegas.
Which is why he's... go ahead, I'm sorry.
Jack Sprague's bringing the 16 back out onto the track. They must have checked that and made sure that everything was okay, but it looks like something is coming out of the bag. Is that fuel?
I believe it's water.
That's probably where the overflow is. A lot of people will run the overflow all the way back behind the left rear tire. That's what it looks like a little bit, that this truck's obviously running hot.
Mike Skinner continuing to lead. This is the 10th race this season. Mike Skinner has been out in front. Toyota Tundra is having a good qualifying effort today, and Mike Skinner continues to lead in Vegas. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Las Vegas 350 on Speed Channel is brought to you by Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR and the NHRA. by the next Ford Super Duty. Tougher, stronger, smarter. And by the United States Army, an army of one. Skinner holding the top spot, almost a second over Dennis Setzer right now. And problems early on for Jack Sprague, and that took him behind the wall.
This is what happened while we were away in commercial. Jack Sprague went back on the racetrack after being black flagged by NASCAR. We saw the telltale steam coming out of the back of the truck. He came in, made the hard left-hand turn into the garage area, and more than likely, his night's going to be over.
You know, Phil, there's something more to this than we understand so far, because we haven't seen any smoke out of that truck yet. It makes me think that it's really not oil. They've got a motor problem.
And he is so good at this racetrack, Chad. He's won twice. He was second twice. He was running second last year as a teammate to Travis Kvapil. Travis was in the midst of a championship battle. They coming off turn 4 for the last lap. Jack Sprague backed off, allowed second, third, and the three trucks behind him, one of those being Travis Kvapil, pass him to allow Travis to get one more position and 5 points. So he really had another top 2 finish lined up until the last lap when he ended up giving that up. So he's awfully good at this racetrack, but unfortunately, it's not going to matter.
I never had teammates like that.
And you had a lot of teammates.
Wow, did you see how loose David Rudiman just got there? He had points contender Carl Edwards right behind him. Carl slid right out and made sure he didn't get behind any problems that the 17 of David Rudiman might have had.
That was a big-time wiggle, and as soon as that happened, you see David, the blue truck, right at the back of the screen. As soon as that happened, he said, let me get out of the way of these guys. They're just loosening me up so much when they drive up behind me. Let me get to the back of this pack and see if I can get this truck calmed down.
Let me tighten my seatbelts and get my breath back here is what he wants to do.
Another guy who's trying to get his breath back is the 62 of Steve Park. He had some problems earlier. Let's take a look.
See if we can take a look at what happened to Steve earlier. That's the 23 truck right there of Johnny Benson. Steve was trying to get by him on the outside. It loosened up Johnny a little bit. I don't know if there was any contact or not, but if not, he certainly loosened up Johnny. He got sideways right in front of him, so Steve had a little anxious moment right there.
I don't see any damage on his truck, so, you know, you get really close to the truck in front of you, and what it does is it takes just enough air away and off of his spoiler to loosen that truck up. Steve did a good job of turning away from the wall right there because it could have pushed him up into the wall.
That's exactly what we saw happen to Johnny Benson right there. With 18 laps or 17 laps already in the books, how loose did these drivers and crews set these trucks up, anticipating the track becoming tight?
Well, a lot of these drivers had these trucks a little bit loose. As Chad talked earlier, Bobby Hamilton was one of the guys that thought the track was going to get looser yet, so he probably had his truck a little bit tighter. But when these guys are out here in race trim this afternoon and they get ready to go to qualifying trim, in order for their trucks not to be too tight tonight, well, then they're going to be really loose when you put a qualifying package on there. All they're allowed to do are some minor adjustments, a little bit of wedge, a little bit of track.
A lot different than most series. What you're referring to is after qualifying, they can't touch, they can't work on their vehicles anymore. They have to be race ready after qualifying. That presents an additional challenge for all the teams.
Hank Parker Jr. in the Air Vest 21 makes his way past the Intian bearing 17 of David Rudiman. Hank Parker Jr. very solid as of late.
He really has. He's had 2 top 10 finishes in his last 3 races, a 6th at Bristol and a 9th at Loudon last week. So this team is getting better and better and better as they go.
And a great sponsor on Hank Parker Jr.'s truck, Air Vest. That's like a,
we got problems in turn number one.
Smoke coming out of the,
looks like Kelly Sutton, maybe the 02 truck.
Back of the 02 of Kelly Sutton. As she spun around and has damage, and looks as though the left front tire flat.
Right down in the fastest part of the racetrack, too. She's very lucky she stayed off that wall.
She's got to be very careful. You see the left front tire down. You see the fender flapping a little bit. If that tire blows out, it will rip that fender off. There's the very end of what happened there. See the roof flap come up on the truck. That keeps the trucks on the ground.
A very weird place to get spun around going into turn 1.
I don't think we're seeing the contact that led up to that truck spinning right there, because spinning at that point of the racetrack is almost sure contact with the outside wall.
We're 20 laps into this race right now. The 20 laps complete. I'm not sure we're going to see any pit stops.
A lot of damage to that 02 truck right now as it drives around. Tires beating the heck out of that fender. You see it right there. Very violent.
Tire doing more damage than maybe even the contact had done.
Right front is flat as well.
Tire begins to tear away from the rim and tear away from that front fender.
Pit road still closed, yeah.
Is closed. The official giving them the red with the yellow cross, meaning the pit road is closed as we're under our first caution at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Mike Skinner continues to lead Dennis Setzer, Bobby Hamilton, Carl Edwards, Chad Chapman. Our first round of pit stops taking place as our first caution comes out of the night. The Square D Dodge coming in and taking right off. It looks as though they didn't change tires on that truck.
A little bit of strategy here. What happens now? We've completed 22 laps. That will get probably every truck in this field in a window where they can make this race on one more pit stop. Let's see if we can take a look here at what Bobby did on his pit stop earlier. As we see Bobby coming in, we got a report earlier that he may be overheating, so it'll be interesting to see if they put some water in this truck. See, they're going to take some tape off. That's an aerodynamic tool right there. They're cleaning off the grill. You want to put as much tape on these trucks as you can. That gives them front downforce. That's what keeps these trucks from getting so tight. We were talking about, Chad. The more tape they can put on it, the more aerodynamic downforce they have on the front end. Here's the 46 of Dennis Setzer coming out of the pits. Whoa. Shane Meal trying to get by on the outside. Shane says, I'm going by on the outside. I'm faster than you.
Doesn't look like they made any contact, but it was very close.
Shane Meal came off of pit road just in front of Dennis Setzer. Wendy, what was happening with Dennis?
Well, crew chief Danny Gill says that he feels Shane Meal was speeding down pit road. We'll see what kind of damage Dennis Setzer has. He was loose all over before that pit stop, so they went up on the air pressure, round and a half wedge in the left rear, and they're trying to assess the fuel mileage to see how far they can go before they come back in later on in the race.
I'll tell you, Rick, that's interesting. We ran over 20 laps under green right there, and Dennis Setzer was still loose. I think 20 laps is long enough, Chad, for the air pressures to build up and to burn enough fuel off. If your truck's going to have a pretty good handle, you're going to have a pretty good idea right there. But Dennis Setzer was loose, had to tighten it up. Maybe Bobby Hamilton was right.
I think you're right. It sounds like he was right that the track had a tendency to get loose for some of it. For some of the trucks, the majority of them are going to get tight. But Bobby's and Dennis's truck sounds similar. There's the one truck up in the air on the right side. You see the jack stand in the back. They're being careful about that, but they're looking right there. It must be something wrong.
What they're doing, Chad, you see there's a tape measure right there. They are moving the rear end housing. We've seen them do this before. They won a race at California last year. They actually moved the rear end housing during the race, came back and won that race for the third consecutive time at California. They've done it again. They've moved the rear end housing here 20 laps into this race.
So they figure that's a handling adjustment that they need at this point in the race.
Absolutely. Isn't that something?
Ted Musgrave making his way back out onto the track. Two trucks stayed out on the track, or two of the trucks that were competing for the top spot. Mike Skinner stayed out, did not come in, as well as the 62 of Steve Park. Tonight at 1:30 a.m. live on Speed Channel, the stars of Formula One racing take the stage at the brand new state-of-the-art Shanghai International Circuit for the Grand Prix of China. This weekend could be the most watched motor race in history. 300 million viewers worldwide are expected. Tune in for former world champion Jacques Villeneuve return to F1 and see if Michael Schumacher can make it 13 wins for the 2004 season.
Well, Michael Schumacher's going to have his work cut out for him. He spun during qualifying, so he's going to start dead last in that Grand Prix in China.
I'd still place my money on Michael to win.
He's pretty tough to beat.
One guy trying to be that same way, tough to beat, Mike Skinner. This is a little bit of an interesting strategy, not coming in at the first pit stop, not being able to make it a one-stop race anymore for him.
It's a bit of a gamble. We'll see what happens later on if it works out for him. But as you mentioned, he definitely will have to stop two times. Where the rest of these trucks that pitted, actually from sixth on back, where Bobby Hamilton's running sixth, all those trucks pitted on this caution flag, and more than likely they can all make it on one more pit stop. Mike Skinner, Steve Park, Brandon Miller, Chad Chapman, and Andy Houston will all have to stop 2 times.
Mike Skinner brings the field back to the start-finish line, and the green flag waves once again. We're back underway at Las Vegas.
It's a great view as they go down to turn number 1. It doesn't take them very long to get side by side.
Chad Chapman trying to look on the outside of Brandon Miller, not quite able to get up to him. Bobby Hamilton is on the outside of the 59 truck. Andy Houston That truck actually comes out of Bobby Hamilton's shop. That started about a week ago. Bobby Hamilton's Racing maintains that 59 truck for Jim Harris and Andy Houston.
Bobby Hamilton trying to use another truck, possibly for testing, to help him win his first championship in the Truck Series.
Good look from David Starrs, Spears Manufacturing Chevrolet. Right behind Bobby Hamilton there, the Ford truck, the Square D Dodge.
Bobby's notorious for running up high, and he seems to like that groove right now. It allows the truck to keep the RPMs revved up a little bit higher as long as the truck stays stable and you're able to get the throttle right there.
Do you get that view of the 99 of Carl Edwards? Bobby likes to run up high. Look at Carl go to the outside. Look at him go to the outside of David Starr.
Cowboy Starlin, Carl Edwards, crew chief, and Carl were talking on the radio during our only practice today, and Carl was talking about how good that truck was. 4 wide as they go into turn number 1. Unbelievable racing at Las Vegas. But Carl was mentioning earlier that he thought his truck was balanced as well as it possibly could be, and that's what they were working on because they couldn't work on setups for tonight's race with the temperatures the way it was.
There's his teammate John Wood making a good move right through the middle. He shot the middle. He had Matt Crafton on the inside, Bobby Hamilton on the outside. John passed them both right in the middle.
Shot the gap.
Bobby Hamilton on the outside of a 3-wide battle. Ray, what was going on with Bobby Hamilton?
Well, Rick, just they're very, very hot, and we've got trouble. 67 spins around right in the tri-oval. We'll get back to you on Hamilton.
David Reagan spinning across the front stretch. No caution has come out.
Doesn't look like there's any contact to the truck either.
They were stacked up 3 wide for 2 rows as they went across the start-finish line. And we stay under green as David Reagan brings the truck back out onto the track.
David was running about the 31st position at that time.
There's Mike Skinner, Steve Park right there behind him. Ray, what's going on down there?
Well, Phil, let me follow up back on this Bobby Hamilton thing. Realize he was running in 3rd, and he knew that the truck was very hot. 245 to 260 has been the water temperature on that thing, so they thought that they had a hot dog wrapper or something on the grill. They pulled a little bit of tape there, but it's still extremely hot, so Bobby has to get away from other trucks to get any air in there at all. So he has gone way back in the field because when he's running side by side with other guys, it's just pegging the water temperature.
During practice today, what was the normal temperature that these trucks were running?
They would like to see about 200 degrees. Probably 220 on the high side would be all they would want to see, but 245 to 260 is way, way too hot. And Bobby Hamilton's going to have to take some more tape off if that truck doesn't cool down pretty soon. But remember now, he's being passed by a lot of trucks, but he also did not put any tires on. I'm sure a lot of these other trucks put tires on. That's why it's making it look so dramatic that he's slowing down.
Bobby Hamilton slowing down. Look who's catching the leader, the 62 of Steve Park.
Right on the back of Mike Skinner's truck.
Both these trucks right here stayed out on this most recent caution flag. There are 2 of the 5 trucks that stayed out.
Look at the way they pulled away from the rest of the field, too. 2 trucks that don't have fresh tires, but opted to hold on to track position, are pulling away from the field that has fresh tires.
Well, you better not for long. That 99 truck of Carl Edwards is coming. He was about a half a second faster that last lap than both Mike Skinner and Steve Park. You see that little white dot right behind Steve Park? Well, he's coming. He's going to be there in 4 or 5 laps. He's that fast.
You can tell Steve's truck right now is really working well on the low side. The truck is cutting very good in the center. He's able to get in the gas earlier, drive up hard underneath.
Carl Edwards was 2 seconds behind our leaders 2 laps ago. Now he's a 1.5 seconds behind our leaders, and like you mentioned, Phil, he is catching them.
Yeah, he gained another half second that lap, so it's just going to be a matter of a couple more laps, and Carl's going to be right there. And I think he's going to just drive right by these guys, isn't he, Wendy?
There you see Steve Park made it around on the inside of Skinner there. We talked about his truck was turning really good in the center. He drove up right underneath him as they exited the corner.
Steve Park leads his first lap at Las Vegas Motor Speedway in a truck. He takes away the top spot from Mike Skinner.
You know that makes him feel good with the success that his team owner, Brendan Gaughan, has had at this track.
We take a look at how Steve Park took over the top spot. Looks as though he's going to go on the inside.
Had a good run going through the center of the corner. Got a lot of momentum. Was able to pull up beside Mike Skinner. Mike said, hey, you've got the spot. You beat me off that corner. I'm going to back off and try to follow you because that 99 truck's coming. We had some more 3-wide racing there for a moment. I've seen more 3-wide racing in this race than I have at Las Vegas in a long time. And we've seen it before at Las Vegas.
All these guys have fresh tires like we talked about from the pit stop a few laps ago. A little easier to run 2 and 3 wide when you have fresh tires than it is when they're 20, 30 laps old.
The tires fell off today during practice. We were watching, the trucks ran in the low 33-second bracket early on, and it wasn't about 20 or 25 laps that these trucks were running in the 34-second bracket. So they slowed down almost a second in 20, 25 laps. Wendy, what's going on with Carl?
We're not able to get...
On pit. Carl Edwards was just like all the other trucks on the track. He was a little loose, a little less loose than all the other trucks actually. So they made a slight adjustment. They added wedge to the left rear to tighten him up just a bit. Of course, he took 4 tires and fuel, and he's running 3rd.
Not anymore. As he goes by Mike Skinner. The Super Chips 99 now sets his sights on the Dodge driven by Steve Park. So Steve Park holds on to the top spot for now. But coming hard is the 99 Super Chips Ford of Carl Edwards. We'll be back with more from Las Vegas. Caution number 2 has come out at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The Las Vegas 350. David Reagan got back into the infield. Didn't have enough the first time, so he thought he'd take another spin through the infield. This is a look coming off of turn 4.
You see him get sideways coming off turn 4. It looked very much like his first spin. Went through the grass. The first one didn't. He made no contact this time either, I don't think. So he's got no contact, but he's having a lot of trouble negotiating turn 4.
He was kind of in the middle of the pack there, and all that smoke and the dirt flying up. I believe that is what brought out the caution as opposed to the last time when he was more or less on his own.
Now you see that this caution is kind of a break for those guys that didn't pit the first time around as we watch them coming down pit road right now.
Steve Park leading the field down pit road. We are on board also with Mike Skinner, who's coming down pit road. Wendy.
Shane Meal is back in. He came in on lap 22 but took fuel only and got in with Dennis Setzer, so he didn't gain a whole lot of track position, so he decided to come back in. 4 tires and fuel. He's been having troubles with his engine, not happy with the performance of that DEI engine. Let's go to Ray.
Thank you, Wendy. Harley Roush and Lance Wilson do the tire changing. Now Steve Park got his truck very close to the wall, and that'll be hard for Craig Neems to get it jacked up. He does have some trouble there. They will get left sides done, but I believe Park's going to lose a little spot here. He will go out second behind Mike Skinner. Now Skinner wanted to go down on the track bar to make a chassis adjustment, and that will tighten him up just a little bit.
See Bobby Hamilton's group putting more tape back on the front of that truck.
Yeah, so obviously they weren't too hot, or they wouldn't be putting more tape back on the front of it. Ray, do you have more to add on that?
Hey, Chad, yeah, here's the thing. What they found out was they pulled that tape off earlier, and that made him push really bad. So Bobby Hamilton said he was only at 190 on the water, so they wanted to go ahead and put some tape back on the top side, but they did want to pull the tape off where his oil cooler line goes in because he was 240 on the oil. So the water ended up being okay, but it made his truck push.
Now these trucks are very sensitive aero-wise. Just taking a little piece of tape off like we saw right there will make the trucks tighten up.
Carl Edwards taking over the top spot as the 2 trucks in front of him came in for a pit stop. So Carl Edwards leading at Las Vegas. Welcome back to Las Vegas, Nevada, for the Las Vegas 350 live on Speed Channel. Carl Edwards taking over the top spot. He only had to pass 1 truck. He was in second when the caution came out. And Steve Park and Mike Skinner both stopping under this last caution to have work done on their trucks. Wendy?
Carl Edwards leads this race now. He's very happy to have those new tires on his truck. He said, we're a rocket on new tires. And he's already came over the radio and pretty confident. He said, we're going to win this race, boys.
Confidence coming out of young Carl Edwards.
That is a lot of confidence considering you're 40 laps into a race. But I tell you, as a driver, Phil, and I know you know this because you've won a cup race, you get that feeling at a certain time, and all of a sudden you just know it's my turn tonight.
And we saw him make some tremendous passes there, like he was shot out of a cannon.
Sunday at 12 p.m. catch Speed Channel World Touring Car Championship. Last year's champion Bill Auberland leads the point standings, and Peter Cunningham sits on the pole for round 9 from Road Atlanta. Speed World Challenge tomorrow at noon on Speed Channel. taking a look at the NRA on the back of Spears Manufacturing number 75. Carl Edwards brings the field back to the start-finish line, and we're back underway with racing. The Las Vegas 350.
You see him driving to the inside there real quick. He does that to protect the inside. He wanted to make sure that Crafton didn't have a chance to jump and get on the inside of him as they drove down into turn number 1.
They can only pass on the outside. Is that correct on the restart?
Until you cross that start-finish line, then it's fair game.
Sometimes people will try to lay back to get a little run on you. They'll be behind you when you cross the start-finish line, but they'll have some momentum and drive to the inside. As we see the 50 truck and the 23 truck driving on the inside. That's the 21, Hank Parker Jr. right there going by. You look at Johnny work on the inside of John Wood. Johnny's had some great runs in that truck. Had a great 3rd place run in Loudon last week. He's had a 4th place run, a 6th place run, and he's only been on that truck about 5 times.
That's for 7th and 8th place right now. Look at that, 3 wide down in turn number 1.
We've seen 3 and 4 wide more at Las Vegas than you would see at some giant tracks.
Daytona, for instance, where we see a lot of 3 wide racing. They've been 3 wide this entire race.
2 Orleans trucks in tonight's field. Scott Lynch fielding the 61, Steve Park in the 62.
Pretty close to together on the racetrack. There's Steve right there at the back of that pack. There's Scott right behind him in the 61 Orleans Dodge. Steve works to the inside of Shane Meal in the 15 truck.
Ray Dunlap, what have you got going on with the Orleans trucks?
Well, Rick, I just wanted to let you know Steve Park has a pretty new truck. It's called Chassis T11. It was brand new at Kansas City. Now, they've run this truck 3 times, Kansas City, Kentucky, and Nashville, and it's been a 4th, a 6th, and a 5th place finish, so he really likes T11. Now, the other truck you were talking about, Scott Lynch, he's in the 61. That's one of the oldest trucks in their entire stable. It's called T1 Lone Star, and that's the one that Brendan used to win all those races at Texas. So Scott Lynch knows he's got a pretty good piece underneath him tonight here at Vegas.
Steve would love to get by these trucks right here, but they're too wide for 2 or 3 deep. Look at Mike Skinner make a move on the inside of the 15 truck of Shane Meal.
Steve Park's trying to decide which line to take. Does he stay behind Shane Meal? And look at it, how close and tight that was there.
What a great shot. Little bump drafting at Las Vegas.
The packs have begun to spread out a little bit. We've got a pack of 8 trucks, and then we've got a pack of 6 trucks. But they're not running nose to tail, which we've talked about many times. The trucks punch such a big hole in the air. You would think that drafting would play a big part even here at Vegas.
Well, it certainly does. Look at this 3 wide here. Look at Steve Park on the inside. He gets by Johnny Benson, the 23 truck. Now he's side by side with Dennis Setzer. Shane Meal, the 15 truck, trying to push Dennis Setzer by the 62 of Steve Park. I'll tell you, Steve has a great race truck right here. He's been consistently running up front in this race, and now he's driving back through these trucks. That's the good sign. He's been able to pass these trucks, Chad.
Well, he was leading the race, came in, just took on it, got his pit stop done. He has 4 fresh tires now. He's marching back up to the front. It really shows that he's got a good handling truck tonight.
Boy, the 50 truck of John Wood right there lost the front end. Drove right up in front of the 46 of Dennis Setzer. You see how much momentum he lost. There's Scott Lynch, the 61 truck, driving by the inside. There's the 2 of Brandon Miller, also driving by John Wood.
Dennis Setzer right now better be very careful, because he's got a rookie in front of him and a rookie behind him, and he is in a points championship race right now. Currently, and we've mentioned this many times, if the race would end now, which we know it won't, Carl Edwards would be leading our points championship by 49 points over Dennis Setzer.
Came in here 39 points behind. That's going to be another giant lead for Carl Edwards if things go as they are. But again, we've got a lot of this race to go yet. Those points will not look like that when this race is over.
But it sure shows how competitive those top 5 trucks are, because it can be shuffled up from 1st to 5th in the middle of a race like it is right now.
Great competition continues in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Carl Edwards losing a little bit of his lead over Matt Crafton. And Ray mentioned at the beginning of the show he thought Matt Crafton may be his dark horse for this race. we come back, we'll find out if Matt Crafton can make his way past the Super Chips 99 of Carl Edwards. As the chase for the championship heats up, let's take a closer look at the premier division of NASCAR in our Nextel Cup update.
We essentially have a tie for the lead right now. Dale Earnhardt Jr. would get the nod because of more victories to Kurt Busch. But after one race, this is the first of the cup, chase for the Cup of 10 races. And already we've got 3 cars over 124 points behind. So right now it's going to be a great points race, I think, right down in the end. But a few guys have some serious ground to make up, Chad.
Well, we saw last week Tony Stewart and Jeremy Mayfield had some problems, and then Ryan Newman lost a motor. So I think everyone back up to the front. Look at this.
Side by
Chase
side.
for the lead.
That's Matt Crafton. Whoa, making a move on the inside of Carl Edwards. I don't think Carl Edwards realized that Crafton was about to take over the top spot as he was coming down on Crafton. Crafton had to avoid contact. Wendy?
We touched on Matt Crafton in the pre-race, how hungry he is for his first victory tonight as the races dwindle down in our season. He came in on lap 22 for 4 tires, but absolutely no adjustments on the 6th truck. He said, this truck is awesome. Now, Carl Edwards did come over the radio and said, let me know when these guys start catching me, I'll get up and go. So it looked like at first that Carl Edwards was just taking it easy, but we saw Matt Crafton did pass him momentarily, but Carl Edwards got back by him, and they keep swapping for the lead here. Let's go to Ray.
Tell you about Todd Bodine. He has been good the last couple of weeks. In that number 30 truck, this is chassis number 49, a new truck from Toyota, and they have been real good. Todd, though, had to go down on the track bar 3 rounds when they pitted the first time on lap 22. Why? Because they needed to tighten him up. We told a lot of people here earlier today that this racetrack was going to be different than you normally would expect. You would think whenever it gets night that this track would go one way, but it goes a different way a lot of times, so these guys have been tightening it up. Same thing for the 10 on Terry Cook. He went down 3 rounds on the track bar and pulled a spring rubber out to try to tighten his truck up because these guys were very, very loose. Very odd racetrack here at Vegas to do what it's doing.
Well, we had a report from Bobby and a couple other teams before the race even started that they reviewed their notes. They felt that this track was going to get loose tonight. And let me go into a little detail why. The front tires seem to grip more than the back. What it does is the front's planted, the back end gets loose. It's a little opposite of what you would think about as the track gets more grip. Some drivers were on top of that.
Side-by-side racing, Rick Crawford on the inside. And on the outside, Brandon Miller in the Team ASE CarQuest Dodge.
We saw Rick get a little bit loose down on the bottom of the racetrack. When one truck is on the inside of another truck, they lose a lot of the rear downforce. That will cause these trucks to get a little bit loose. We saw Rick get loose. He had to back off the throttle, get back in behind Brandon Miller.
You know, we heard Ray talking about Todd Bodine just a little bit ago. I remember about a year or so ago in a Busch race, Todd Bodine was literally lightning fast here, led almost every lap, completely dominated the race, so he knows how to get around this place.
Todd Bodine setting his sights on the 62.
62, Steve Park. Remember, he made a pit stop, put tires on here recently, and he is shot out of a rocket now. He's moved into the 2nd position. Todd had already got by Carl Edwards for the 2nd position. Carl has fallen back to the 5th position right now. But I'm telling you, the 30 truck of Todd Bodine and the 62 truck of Steve Park are moving towards the front.
Wendy, what's going on with Carl Edwards?
We did see Carl fall back a little bit. He told Cowboy Starlin that the truck is just a little free in, a bit free off, so it's just a little too free for Carl Edwards, but he could be back up there soon. It looks like he's just being patient and waiting for the laps to go by.
Carl Edwards dropping back through the field, moving up in front of the pack. That is Matt Crafton out in front. This is only the 4th race that he's led all season, and of the top 5 in points, he's led the fewest laps, only 10 coming into this race.
Yeah, that's incredible. But Matt Crafton has been so consistent. As you mentioned earlier, he leads the series with top 10 finishes. He never had a top 5 finish until this year. He's got 4 this year, had a great 3rd place run for his career best. He's really got that truck going in the right direction. And we felt like if he could ever put the whole race together, he would have a shot at a win right now. He's very, very good, but that 62 truck of Steve Park is coming.
I was just going to say, I feel he's closed the gap from just over a second to about 0.6 of a second the last 2 laps. So Steve Park, we documented, he put on 4 tires, and right now he's on the bumper. We're going to have a pass for the lead right now as Steve Park turns down low, crossing the start-finish line.
3 wide, and Steve Park takes over the top spot from Matt Crafton. Crafton led, well, a few laps, but Steve Park wanted to get right back out in front.
You know, I'm looking down over the edge. I'm seeing the crowd right now. They're going crazy because this is the favorite. The team is from Las Vegas. Brendan Gaughan has won in this truck. Everybody knows that they're from Las Vegas, so it's a very popular truck to be out in the lead right now.
Remember, Steve Park has about 20 laps less on his tires, Chad, right now than does Matt Crafton. And these tires, as we talked about earlier, were really falling off when you got 20 or 25 laps on them. This is a little bit softer tire than these trucks had last year. Here's an unscheduled pit stop for Travis Kvapil on the 24 truck.
Wendy?
Travis Kvapil was saying that the truck was really, really free, and he thought he had a right rear tire going down, so they decided to come in and not take the chances. They're going to change 4 tires on that truck and probably tighten it up a lot for Travis.
Travis Kvapil with the Toyota All-Star Showdown sponsor on the hood tonight, and a problem with that truck could take him right out of the championship that we talked about earlier.
You know, we talked about him. He's 188 points behind right now. He cannot afford to have any problems like this. If he doesn't catch the cautions just right, or if the caution comes out before all these other leaders make a green flag pit stop, then he's going to be playing catch up this entire night. That may very well take him out of this championship hunt.
You know, he's probably going to go down a lap from as a result of that pit stop. The only thing I can reason as to why they would do that is they know for us to win this championship, we really need to win this race. Right now, my truck isn't fast enough to win this race. Let's go ahead and make an unscheduled stop, try to make it better, and hope to catch a caution.
We talked about Travis possibly maybe taking himself out of the championship hunt. Another guy who needs a miracle is the #1 of Ted Musgrave. Ray?
Hey, Rick, all the way back in 20th right now, and let's talk about what Musgrave did on that last pit stop. You guys saw that they had the tape measures out to move the rear end. What they did was they took the rear end forward on the right side. That's because Ted was very, very loose, and he said it was just too loose to drive, and that will tighten up your truck when you move that rear end forward. It actually changes the wheelbase a little bit. So that helped him. They went an 1/8 inch forward, but not enough. He's still screaming loose on the radio, and it's very odd to see Musgrave this bad here at Las Vegas. He has a 1st, a 9th, and an 8th in his last 3 races here. But guys, I have a question for you. Do you think this might be related to the tires that we're running here? This is not the same tire that we've run on the 1.5 racetracks this year. They've actually run it on short tracks, and I'm wondering if these guys just don't have a handle on the tires.
Well, it makes it a lot more difficult. That's what really changes these trucks from year to year, is when Goodyear brings a different tire to the racetrack. And that's why a lot of these drivers and teams were scrambling today during practice, because maybe their setup they had last year because of the different tire didn't work, Chad.
Yeah, you know, it's possible. Tires always throw you through for a loop. But, you know, my experience is when you have to come in and make an adjustment such as moving the wheelbase to tighten or loosen the truck up, your day's pretty much done. I mean, that is a tough deal. You're trying to crutch yourself. It means you have a problem.
And here's a battle for second. Right now, Mike Skinner also came in the same time Steve Park did it, so his tire's fresher than Matt Crafton. He makes it very simply past the 6 of Matt Crafton and moves into second.
And Steve Park now has opened up a 4-second lead right now. He had a 4-second lead last lap on Matt Crafton. Obviously, Mike Skinner now is in second, and he's going to be back, you know, over 4.5 seconds behind right now. Steve Park has really got that truck on a rail.
We saw this a year ago. The Orleans Dodge, driven by Brendan Gaughan, dominated this race in front of his home crowd. And now Steve Park trying to do it as well in Las Vegas. Spectacular crowd watching this race under the lights in Las Vegas. Very reminiscent of a year ago when a sold-out crowd at Las Vegas watched Brendan Gaughan dominate this race, and now Steve Park trying to do the same thing in the 62.
He's got it going so far here. We're right at halfway in this race, actually a little bit beyond halfway. Steve has over a 5-second lead on the 5 truck of Mike Skinner, the Toyota. But all these trucks will have to make one more pit stop as we see Steve Park continue lapping some trucks. There's some good trucks too. There's the 17 truck of David Ruderman. Had a great qualifying run, qualified 3rd, and he just went a lap down to Steve Park.
Shows the difference. A lot of times tires can make. We had a long green run run now, and Steve, the caution came out right, and got a good handling truck that came in and got tires at the right time.
Steve Park just put the 88 of Tracy Hines a lap down. Steve Park almost 5 seconds in front of second place Mike Skinner. And problems with Carl Edwards as he goes screaming across the front stretch grass, makes his way back out onto the track, but the caution comes out.
It reminded me of Daytona. I think he went through the infield grass at Daytona as well.
He went down pit road at about 180 miles an hour.
Yeah, Carl was really dropping back. Remember now, Carl pitted last on lap 23, so he had about 50 laps on his tires. So he probably had a handful right there. We heard Wendy tell us the Cowboys said they were fighting loose. So that, I tell you, a loose truck is hard to hold on to here for 50 laps like Carl's had to.
And we can go for a ride with Carl Edwards and see just what it's like going through the infield grass at about 160 miles an hour.
We saw the Ford truck on the inside of him, Bobby Hamilton. Carl got loose out on the outside and had to chase the truck down the hill to catch it. Did a nice job driving straight through the grass. So many times when you get in the grass like that, you'll lose control, but Carl maintained control, got back on the racetrack, and it's really going to end up being a break for him because he's going to be able to come in the pits, get 4 fresh tires and fuel, and more than likely, he'll be able to go the rest of the way.
I wonder if he's good enough to spin on his own like that to make the caution come out.
Well, I'm not sure about that, but I was going to say Carl Edwards got his start racing dirt tracks in Missouri, so he knows what it's like to go across, well, not at 160 miles an hour, but he knows what it's like to go through the dirt.
Well, he probably did run 160 mile an hour on a big dirt track in one of those Silver Crown cars.
Quite possible.
He's talking to the crew right now saying, no, I didn't do it on purpose, I promise.
Said, sorry about that, guys. That was my mistake. Let's get it fixed and we'll get back out on the track. Pit road is closed as the leader goes by, and that is Steve Park. Steve Park did not want to see a caution come out. He was dominating this field. He had almost 5-second lead over Mike Skinner.
The problem is right now, I think, Rick, is we're inside. We've got 77 laps completed, so we're inside 70 laps to go. Some of the trucks that are getting the really, really good fuel mileage may be able to stop when they open pit road and make it the rest of the way without stopping again. I don't think the 62 truck of Steve Park will be able to do that. I don't think he gets as good a fuel mileage as some of these other trucks. It may be just a handful of them that can, but they're also, if they put their tires on now, Chad, and the caution comes up with 30 laps to go and somebody else comes in and puts them on, then there'll be a sitting duck.
You're right about that. So we got the fuel mileage issue to look at, but I think more importantly, like you just mentioned, it's the tire where we've seen this last green flag run, how important new tires are, how much more grip they have, how much faster you are with those tires. So if a caution comes out and you have a set left, you may be the hero.
Steve Park in front of Mike Skinner, Shane Meal, and Matt Kraft, and Shane Meal making a move toward the front as we pass the halfway point of this race. With just under 70 laps to go, pit road is open. Steve Park, our leader, will bring the field down pit road. Wendy?
For the first time tonight, Matt Crafton's truck did get a little loose on that last run. Now, they were hoping to go to lap 82, so this may put them out of their fuel window. We're not sure as he comes to a stop in his pit stall. Crew Chief Wally Rogers is actually the front tire carrier as well. As they finish the right sides and come around to the left, the only thing they were doing was an air pressure adjustment to tighten up that truck. Let's go to Ray.
Hey, Wendy, it's going to be a fuel race right here. Keep your eye on Bill Caldwell. He is the gas man for Steve Park. As the guys go to work, you notice Park gave him lots of room against the wall this time to get a good stop. The crew will go to work, but Billy Caldwell's got to be sure to pump in every bit of that second can. Now watch the 5 of Mike Skinner. Same thing. They're talking to him. Ryan Langley and Chad Rainey do the tire changing here, but Jimmy Sprinkle making sure they get every bit of gas in it they can. Park will be the first off pit road, then the 5, then the 6. Good battle down here as these guys make sure they pack them full of fuel to try to make it to the end.
It becomes a fuel mileage race that quick. Steve Park will lead the field off of pit road, back onto the track. Coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Las Vegas 350 on Speed Channel is brought to you by the all-new Toyota Tundra Double Cab. Not just big, life-size. and by Domino's Pizza, the official pizza of NASCAR. Beautiful sight in the desert of Las Vegas.
There's our leader right there, the 62 truck of Steve Park. That's the Trav 24 truck. Look at this pit stop. Remember, this pit crew was much maligned earlier this year. They actually were replaced for a couple races in order to give them time to practice because they had been so busy building new trucks for this year because there was a major body change. But what a great job by that Orleans team right now. That was all Steve Park's pit crew right there, because obviously the Nextel Cup cars are back on the East Coast. So my hat's off to the Orleans crew.
And you know, when those offensive linemen can do their job for their quarterback, it makes them feel really proud.
Well, and in front of your home crowd. I mean, all of these people probably have family and friends that are close by that are sitting up in the bleachers right now watching them very, very closely. And to see them bring their truck out in front of everybody else has to make them feel really good.
And when you're on pit road, Chad, I know you've been on pit road before, maybe when you weren't driving. And if you're part of the pit road, your truck comes in leading your car, you have a little bit extra adrenaline flowing then.
You want to go out first, just like he is as we dive down into turn number 1 on the restart here.
Steve Park was actually on the outside, the lap truck on the inside. Travis Wallace.
Travis got an excellent restart, beating Steve Park down into turn number 1.
Yeah, right now Travis is on the tail end, almost 2 laps down, so he really desperately needs a caution flag to try to get one of those laps back, because right now he would not even be eligible for the free pass because there's a number of trucks 1 lap down, and the highest placed non-lead lap truck is the one that gets the free pass. So Travis Kvapil needs the caution to come out while he's in front of Steve Park to get one of his 2 laps back.
3 wide again. Carl Edwards, we see him driving solo there, a little bit inside of both sides. And we'll take a closer look at that restart. He got a little squeezed right here.
Way up almost to the outside wall. That's the 2 truck of Brandon Miller. No contact there, no harm, no foul. Carl was able to get on by without hitting the outside wall or the 2 truck of Brandon Miller.
They were just 5 or 6 wide going down into the corner.
That's all. Yeah, Wendy, what's going on?
Carl Edwards just got really, really loose on that caution. When they came in on lap 78, the only thing they did was a wedge adjustment and 4 tires. They actually put on their first set of tires. You see the tires that they're working on, the cords were actually showing on the tires that came off. So Cowboy Starler Chief put the first set back on, and they do plan on pitting one more time tonight. They're saving a fresh set of tires for the end of the race.
Wendy, that's a great strategy. Chad and I were talking during the break that the only tires these teams would have left, if they put one of their new sets on, would be the tires that they took off on their first pit stop on lap 22 to lap 23. So by Cowboy putting that set of tires on now, he may be giving up a little bit right now, but he knows he's going to have a set, either stickers or 2-lap scuffs for a shootout with 20 or 30 laps to go.
Yeah, because we have to keep in mind in the Truck Series, you're allowed 30 sets of tires for the entire weekend. You can use them whenever you want. They try to save as many as they can for the race. Most of the teams have used all 4, so they might put on a set of tires that has the minimal amount of laps on it.
And that's because of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series tries to save a little bit of money. A set of tires, just if people don't understand, a set of tires costs $1,800 just for the tires.
Do the math. When you have 30 trucks come in and change tires, you're talking about, what, $54,000 these race teams spend when that caution flag come out. Because, Chad, we saw every lead lap truck pit. At that time, there was 22 trucks on the lead lap. They all put tires on. Everyone that's still on the racetrack, there's 33 trucks still on the racetrack, would have come in and put tires on. We're talking about close to $60,000 these teams spent on that last caution flag.
So it is a good way to control some of the costs involved in this series.
Right.
Hey, Rick, one truck that didn't spend a lot of money on that last pit stop was Terry Cook and his Power Stroke diesel. They put on a set of 20-lap scuffs that they used in practice earlier today. Why would they do that? They've still got a set of stickers here in the pits.
We got a car spun at the base of turn number 4 right there.
Ken
08
Weaver.
car. Ken Weaver. The caution is out.
Now what do these teams do?
Top off with fuel.
Will this get them into their fuel window, and will they change those tires with this many laps to go in the race?
I don't know. There's 60 laps to go right now. We've completed 86 of 146 laps. There's 60 laps to go. I think this will put everyone in their pit window. But Chad, I don't think, and Rick, I don't think they want to put their tires on this soon. They may come in and top off to ensure themselves of being able to make it on fuel. But I'm not sure I would want to put my set of tires on now, knowing I could get a caution with 30 or 35, 25 laps to go, and fresh tires would kill somebody out there.
You know, that's why the crew chiefs are paid to make those decisions. I agree with you, Phil. I don't think you would want to come in right now and put on your last set of tires that you're hopefully saving to win the race. That's what's going to take to win the race, is a fresh set of tires like that. But if you're marginal on your fuel mileage, I believe you have to come in and top off.
At least you're assured of finishing the race if it goes green the rest of the way.
That's right.
If it goes green, then you're in the same boat as everyone else if you don't put your tires on. But I'm sure so many of these drivers and teams would love to save a set of tires for a 25 or 30 lap shootout. If you're the only cat with new tires with 25 laps to go, you've got this race won.
That's right.
We'll find out who will play what strategy when we come back and see who will come down pit road. Be sure to tune in to Speed Monday through Thursday, 10 p.m. Eastern, to catch Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain. As always, Dave takes your calls and emails live on virtually any racing subject. Monday's guests, USAC Tyler Walker and ARCA standout Ryan Hemphill. They'll join Dave Monday, and that is Wind Tunnel Monday through Thursday live, 10 p.m. Eastern. Steve Park out in front. Mike Skinner sat on our pole, has the possibility of winning $20,000 for his team, currently in second.
So Travis Quappa was the third truck in line. He was not able to stay in front of Steve Park prior to the caution coming out, so he is still 2 laps down in 29th position. We've talked about points all night. We talked about if he's not able to overcome that unscheduled pit stop, and that was an unscheduled pit stop, then he's going to be out of this championship race.
Look at this spectacular crowd on hand for tonight's race. The Las Vegas 350 live on Speed Channel will continue after these messages. Young crowd on hand as well for tonight's Las Vegas 350. Beautiful facility here at Las Vegas. Recent addition of the Dale Earnhardt Grandstand area that was under construction a year ago. It has since been completed. Great addition to this facility as the pace truck makes its way down pit road.
See all the trucks lined up on the inside. Those trucks are down 1 or more laps at this time.
Great start by Steve Park. He's able to drive completely by the 24 truck. Remember that the last restart, the 24 truck was able to get the jump on Steve Park. Mike Skinner looks to the inside. He's currently our second place truck.
Get him 3 wide right back there, all the way through turns 1 and 2.
Steve Park trying to outdo the former driver of the 62. Last year, Brendan Gaughan led 106 laps at this race. Steve Park trying to dominate it as well. And look at this racing side by side again as they're battling for position back behind Steve.
Good move by Shane Meal to get by. He's got Johnny Benson, the 23 truck, right behind Shane Meal. They're currently running right now 7th and 8th. Shane looks to the inside of Matt Crafton at the front of this group.
Matt Crafton looked in his mirror right back there when they were running 3 wide and said, you know, I'm glad that I'm in the front of this group right now.
Crafton taking the high line. Most of the time you think the preferred line is right down on the bottom of the track. Crafton running quite a bit higher than that.
We had a number of trucks stop on this most recent caution flag. Most of them to top off on fuel and get in their pit window. Bobby Hamilton, Ted Musgrave were 2 of the trucks that came in on that caution flag to top off their fuel. So now I think they're comfortably in position to run the rest of the way if this race goes green.
Bobby Hamilton up in the top 10 when he came in that last stop too, so he obviously felt that he was needed because he gave up a bunch of track position to do that.
But if he felt like there was no way he was going to make it on fuel, then he had no choice but to come in. I think Ted Musgrave may have been the same situation. There's a good shot right there, the Mopar Dodge of Ted Musgrave.
Musgrave running 19th currently as he tries to get by the 66 driven by J.R. Patton.
There's Bobby Hamilton, a Square D Dodge, just just to the right of our screen right there. He's making his way up through traffic. He's being shown right now in the 16th position.
Bobby Hamilton, our points leader coming into tonight's race. Very, very tight points battle going on. Ray?
Well, Rick, we talked at the top of the show about all the mistakes they've made the last couple of weeks, but we talked with Danny Rollins in the garage over the last couple of days, and basically he said last week they weren't going to make it on fuel then, so that's why they pitted at lap 112 when we were at New Hampshire. So the same thing here. They knew they weren't going to be able to go on fuel. I do not expect them to be back on pit road today to change tires. And I told you earlier the 10 can, but most everybody I'm talking to down here on pit road says they're going to stay out now. They can make the distance on fuel.
Great battle right now for third. Dennis Setzer in front of Todd Bodine. Bodine trying to take away that spot. Again, if we would finish the race right now, Dennis Setzer would be our points leader, and Carl Edwards has dropped back to third.
And remember, we had Carl Edwards points as of now leading by 49 points, so that's how quickly things can change. And if we get another caution flag with 25 or 30 laps to go, we're going to see another adjustment. Wendy?
Dennis Setzer, when I checked in with crew chief Danny Gill on that last round of pit stops, lap 78, only an air pressure adjustment for Dennis Setzer. He's very happy with the truck. They took 4 tires. They do not plan on coming back in. They can make it on fuel.
Dennis Setzer trying to stay in front of Todd Bodine. Steve Park trying to stay in front of Mike Skinner. Skinner reeling in Steve Park now.
Right on his rear bumper. Look how low he's able to stay on the racetrack. He's got a great handling truck right now. He's able to stay a little bit lower than Steve Park. That may bode well for him as the tires get a little bit more heated.
Mike Skinner's truck right now has the look of a truck that's ready to take the lead. You can see it staying just a little bit lower. It's rotating a little bit harder in the center of the corner, which allows him to get back in the gas just a little bit earlier.
Looked like that time he drove up so close to Steve Park that he lost the front end. As good as this truck was down in this end of the racetrack, turns 1 and 2, looks like he drove up on Steve Park, probably got a little bit of that aero push, and that's why he lost the truck. Got a great side-by-side battle for third. There's Todd Bodine going by Dennis Setzer.
We have seen more side-by-side racing for positions 3, 4, 5, and 6 than I think any other race yet this year. Todd Bodine now taking away the 3rd position from Dennis Setzer.
What a great run for Todd Bodine. You know, this is a brand new team. This is only their 3rd race. Germain Arnold Motorsports. They had a 4th place run his first time out of Richmond. Had a great truck at Loudon, and the kill switch on the steering wheel. All these trucks are equipped with a kill switch. It went bad on the very first lap of the race, and he had such a good truck in practice. Obviously took him out of contention, took him a number of laps to fix that, but again, he's got a great truck. They've been really, really good every time on the racetrack.
Todd Bodine pulling away from Dennis Setzer. How's he feel about that truck, Ray?
Very, very happy, Rick, and I just talked with Mike Hillman, the crew chief over there, and I said, are you going to pit again tonight? He said, no way can we afford to give up this track position. They've got a set of 20-lap scuffs left in the pits if they needed tires, but as long as he doesn't spin that thing, they're going for the finish.
And I think that's a great way to look at it, except, you know, Todd Bodine has nothing to lose. He's not running for points. So I would think if there would be a caution late in the race, he's got to examine what are the guys behind me going to do. They're going to come in and take tires. He'll be a sitting duck.
Mike Skinner goes to the outside, looking for any line to get around Steve Park. And we've seen Mike Skinner take a ton of different lines already this year. At Atlanta, he tried the infield to get by Bobby Hamilton for the win.
It almost worked, too. He ended up finishing second that race. They came by the finish line side by side, but Mike Skinner was sideways in the grass.
Steve Park now begins to pull away from Mike Skinner, so Steve Park may be looking a little bit stronger now that the competition has reeled him in. The caution has come out for the 5th time at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Matt Crafton, one of the trucks running up toward the front, is coming down pit road. The big story is why we're under caution. We talked about who was in the points championship contention. The gentleman that was in 3rd is now smoking, and he is off the track. Carl Edwards, engine problems in the Super Chips 99.
Unbelievable. Came in here 39 points out of the lead. Had gained 165 points in the previous 3 races. Going to end up finishing probably in the 30s somewhere, so it's going to take a big hit in the point standings.
Look at his frustration inside the cockpit right there as he clears the smoke and tries to find a place to park. I mean, just total frustration. Wendy, got a word with Carl right now?
Carl did just climb out of the truck. He's assessing the truck. Carl, the third blown engine in a row in Las Vegas for you, not so lucky. Did you lose oil pressure on it, or did it feel like something broke?
Oh, something broke huge. We still had oil pressure, but obviously it's pressurized the garage area a little bit too. So, gosh, we had such a great truck. I spun earlier. We wore the right rear down to the cords and lost it, and we got really fortunate not to tear anything up, and we had a set of tires left, and this thing was so good on new tires. Gotta say hi to everybody at Super Chips. We hope you guys are weathering the storm out down there, and hey, we're okay. We got a lot of races left, and this team has come together. We're gonna be awesome.
All right, Carl Edwards reminded his crew to keep their heads up.
Positive outlook by Carl Edwards. That not going to give up attitude could possibly keep him in this points race. We'll be back. Coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Las Vegas 350 on Speed Channel is brought to you by Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR and the NHRA. And by the all-new Toyota Tundra Double Cab. Not just big, life-size. Carl Edwards out of the chase for this race. Steve Park right in the front of it.
We've got about 40 laps to go right here. Mike Skinner all over the back of Steve Park. Look at Todd Bodine. Look to the inside.
That's a battle for second. Todd Bodine on the inside of Mike Skinner. He'll make the pass, and now he sets his sight on Steve Park.
A lot of times on the restart, that's when the driver figures it might be my best chance to pass. So I think Todd recognizes that. He's not taking any chances at all. Look at that truck jump sideways a little bit right there.
Did you see that, Chad? I'm telling you, he's got his hands full right now, but he's moving when he's wiggling.
Steve Park trying to hold off a mirror full of Todd Bodine. Todd Bodine has successor, won in a Busch Series car.
Todd's truck is right on the bottom of the racetrack, too.
Good shot of David Starr, Spears Manufacturing Chevrolet, as he tries to go by the lap truck of Travis Kvapil.
Points leader Bobby Hamilton right behind Kvapil.
Remember, Bobby came in not too long ago and pitted, and he's back up to 9th place, so that was a good move on his part.
Yeah, we know Bobby can make it the rest of the way.
Bobby Hamilton in the top 10. He's running 8th currently.
There's Bill Lester, the 22 truck. He's in the 7th position. He's having a good run. But look at Todd Bodine. He's all over the back of Steve Park with Mike Skinner lurking about 2 truck lengths behind.
Skinner's sitting back there like a bird on prey, waiting to see if they make any mistakes. A lot of times that's not a bad place to be when you have the first 2 guys fighting it out like that.
Both of them trying to get their first ever Craftsman Truck Series win. Steve Park, the 62 Orleans Dodge, and Todd in the Jermaine Arnold Toyota.
Like you mentioned, Mike Skinner with the best seat in the house right now, watching those 2 race and hoping that they race themselves out of contention and he can get right by.
Steve's Park is pretty crafty. I saw him do it with Skinner before we had this last caution. What he does, he looks up in that mirror and he sees where the guy behind him is running, and all of a sudden he makes his truck run in that same groove, makes the guy behind him have that much more of a difficult time to pass. I call it blocking, which is legal.
And there's no out of bounds here, too. Remember at Daytona Talladega, the yellow line, or in this case, the white line on the inside of the racetrack is out of bounds. We've seen a lot of trucks and cars at Las Vegas pass on the apron coming down the front stretch. That's not out of bounds.
How long will Todd Bodine sit back and watch Steve Park's line before he decides it's time for me to get out in front?
I think if Todd could make the pass right now, he would. Rick, I don't believe that he's holding back for any particular reason. It's just right now, you know, Park has a very good truck, and Todd Bodine's not able to make the pass. But you see, he gets right up to him, and then he loses the nose a little bit. Park's crafty, like we talked about. He'll find the groove that Todd's running in.
Mike Skinner coming on to the 3rd spot. Johnny Benson with another great run in 4th currently. And then second in our points coming into this race, Dennis Setzer in 5th.
There's a great side-by-side. There's a battle right there. The one, Ted Musgrave, going to try to get another spot. Hank Parker Jr., that's the 12th position. We saw him back about 20th for so much of this race, but they've kept adjusting on that truck and adjusting on it, and they've got a pretty competitive truck right now.
Is it competitive enough to work its way up to the front with just over 30 laps to go?
He's not shown the speed at all during this race like Steve Park has, like Todd Bodine has, so I'm not sure he is in contention to win this race, but he's certainly in contention for a good, strong top 10 finish.
6th place battle. David Starr, Spears Manufacturing 75, just in front of the new paint job on the Square D Dodge of Bobby Hamilton. He's got flames on the hood of that truck now.
You gotta love the flames. I love the flames. Bobby, a little bit different paint job for the Square D Dodge, as you mentioned, but look at Bobby. Look to the outside of David Starr. He wants to try to get by as many of these trucks as he can, as soon as he can.
See, David got real loose there coming out of turn number 2. You saw the thing jump sideways a little bit. Driver has to correct for that.
We have just over 30 laps to go, so Bobby wants to try to get as many spots as he can get. He's been going backwards the last few weeks. He wants to put this spin on a positive and get up here and race for the top 5. Look at Shane Meal on the inside. He's going to go by both of them.
Shane Meal making the pass, and he will take over the 6th spot. So Shane Meal moves to 6th. Now David Starr wants a spot back. And remember back, to Gateway. When Bobby Hamilton's driver got moved out of the way by the 75 Spears Manufacturing Chevrolet.
Well, you remember why they were racing for the win? Because there were 2 trucks that got together for the lead, the 15 and the 4.
Exactly. Wendy?
Shane Meal did have old tires on that truck, so that last caution when Carl Edwards blew up, the 15 did come down pit road, and they took 4 tires and gas. So Shane Meal, those fresh tires might get him even further out of this pack.
Side-by-side racing continuing.
The Ford truck finally gets around the 75 truck after side-by-side, and Shane Meal slipping underneath both of them after about 3 laps of hard racing.
As Wendy mentioned, if he's got fresher tires than these guys, they're going to be no match for him, or most of these trucks will not be any match for him. Good side-by-side battle for the lead.
Here goes Todd Bodine on the inside of Steve Park, and he takes over the top spot. Ray?
Hey, Rick, earlier we heard that Chad was talking about how good Todd was here in 2001 when he won that Busch race. I asked him about that earlier today, and he said, you know what? An even bigger accomplishment that same weekend was whenever I finished 5th in the Cup race. He said, we did not have a great car, but I ran it as hard as I could, felt really good at this racetrack, and a 5th place finish made him as proud as the lead. Now, again, these guys have a set of 20-lap scuffs in the garage, but they don't plan on giving up that track position. They're going the distance. As far as Steve Park, they pitted on lap 78, and he said these last few cautions has been enough that he'll be okay on fuel to go the distance.
Todd Bodine running right on the bottom of the track through turns 1 and 2 and through 3 and 4. The fans better get ready for a great finish in Las Vegas.
The truck just came in and it's time for a pit stop, right? Well, the thing is, I know better. I'm too old to go over the wall. But if I were going to, I would definitely use these. Craftsman's brand new Gel-Tech knee pads. The thing is, they come on and off with just one strap. How do they do that? Well, this cupped edge right here holds it tight on your knee. And the material on the back wicks away moisture so you don't chafe. How about this pad on the outside? It'll hold up to almost anything, even the hardest surface.
Todd Bodine continues to pull away from Steve Park. Puts almost 2 seconds between himself and 2nd place.
I think Todd's sitting in the cat seat right now, you guys. The only spoiler that I can look at is maybe the 15 truck that's coming up through there with those fresh tires, but he's got to make up over 5 seconds.
Yeah, he's over 6 seconds behind right now, Chad. We're just 23 laps to go, so I don't think he's going to have enough time. Now, If the caution comes out and it closes up this field, that could be a whole nother story. And I would wonder if any of these drivers would come in and put tires on. Again, I don't think any of the leaders will. As Ray told us, Todd Bodine, the team does not plan on pitting and putting tires on. Some of the drivers at the back of the pack might, but unless they have a whole bunch of laps, I don't think it's going to be enough laps to make that much of a difference.
Todd Bodine trying to improve upon his best truck finish of 4th, which he did 2 races ago at Richmond. So Todd Bodine looking very strong in the Toyota number 30.
Yeah, Todd had a 4th on the road course at Topeka, Kansas years ago when he made a few one-off truck appearances. But now this truck is committed to running the rest of the races. We will see it. And what a great way to get this team started with a win in their 3rd race.
Matt Crafton in the Goodwrench number 6 has not been able to make his way back through the field. And Wendy, what's going on with him that he can't move up?
For those of you watching points in the Truck Series, you know Dennis Setzer and Bobby Hamilton are in the top 10. Carl Edwards sits in the garage. Motor problems for Matt Crafton. He's down a cylinder. They came in on that last round of pit stops at lap 103. They took 4 tires because the truck was getting tight in the middle and snapping off. And about 3 laps later, he said it's done, and everybody jumped off the pit box, but apparently it was just down a cylinder. He's just out there making some laps and trying to keep those points.
Yeah, that's going to be really frustrating to him. You know, he came in and expected to take on those tires and was really set, goes back out, the race goes green, and they're down a cylinder. So, but he really had a good race today, you guys. I mean, led some laps, was a really strong truck.
He came in this race 154 points behind, so right now he's running the 23rd position, and he's really, really close to being a lap down. So he's going to lose a bunch of spots to Bobby Hamilton, our point leader, who now is running in the 6th position because he just got by, guess who? Dennis Setzer.
We're on board right now with Mike Skinner looking back at a hard-charging Toyota driven by Johnny Benson. Now, Johnny Benson has really been strong as of late in that Toyota.
Just about from the time he got in this truck, he had a great 4th place run in his first outing in Michigan. He finished 6th. He had a 3rd place run at Loudon last week. That team keeps getting better and better.
Inside of 20 laps to go, and Todd Bodine continues to lead this field around the 1.5 mile Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Todd Bodine continues to run consistent laps around this 1.5 mile speedway, and he is hoping that a caution doesn't come out. One driver that's hoping that one does come out is the 15 of Shane Meal, because he is moving right now through this field.
A few moments ago, we talked about him being over 6 seconds behind. Well, he's inside of 4 seconds behind right now. Definitely got Steve Park in his sights. He's within about a half a second of Steve Park. But if he doesn't get a caution flag, I think he's going to run out of time. As good as this truck is right now, as he takes over the 2nd position from Steve Park, Chad, I don't think he has enough time.
It's going to be close. It might come down to being right behind the truck of Todd Bodine at the end right there. A caution is going to be in his benefit, but he is making up some good ground. It really shows how beneficial those tires were that they saved to put on that last caution.
I'll tell you, that last lap, he was over 0.3 of a second faster than our leader, Todd Bodine. If he can keep gaining 0.3 of a second a lap, 10 laps, you do the math, that's 3 seconds, and he's just barely over 3 seconds behind. Chad, he might get him.
Catching him is one thing, passing him will be a completely different one.
We look at the speeds at the line, and Shane Meal faster than Todd Bodine
by almost a full mile an hour. So he's got a great truck right now. He needs to be able to catch trucks in traffic at the right time so he doesn't get held up. But the Todd Bodine, see, he's in heavy traffic right now. He's going to get held up. He's got the 08 of Ken Weaver, the 2 truck in front of him, Brandon Miller. Great battle right there. That's a battle for the 4th position. Johnny Benson had taken it from Mike Skinner. Mike Skinner takes it back.
Johnny Benson with a solid run as he looks on the inside of Skinner. What's going on, Wendy?
Johnny Benson does have a new truck tonight in tonight's race. They call it T10. Now his best finish this year has been 3rd, and that came last week in Loudon. So Johnny Benson, if he can get past Steve Park, he might equal that best finish. But he does think he did come over the radio and said he doesn't think he has anything for him. So we'll see.
Johnny Benson, he's played down his trucks a few times before. Great side-by-side racing as he has to back off and get behind Mike Skinner.
Got loose on the bottom of the racetrack. He was on the bottom of Mike Skinner, got loose, had to back off. Barely avoided clipping Mike Skinner as he was trying to chase his truck up the hill.
Inside of 10 laps to go, Shane Meal has closed the gap to under 2 seconds to go.
I'm telling you, he's coming in. It seems like a lot of the teams were telling us that these tires would fall off to a point, and then all of a sudden they would drop 0.2 of a second a lap. Todd Bodine may be in a situation where his tires have fallen off an extra 0.2 of a second. Shane Meal's got fresh enough tires. That hasn't happened to him yet.
Whitaker Farms, number 15 of Shane Meal, currently in second. And he's closing the gap again. Almost a half a second he's improved on Todd Bodine. Wendy?
Shane Meal is well aware he's faster than the leader. They're just telling him to be patient. He was complaining about lap traffic. As you see Brandon Miller in the 2 truck, he has to get by him before he can get by Todd Bodine.
I can't believe how much ground he's made up that quickly. I tell you what, he's going to catch him in the next couple, 3 laps, and he's going to have 3 or 4 laps to get around him. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he makes a clean pass.
Chad, I think it's all over. There's no question in my mind that he's going to be able to catch him. We're going to watch his speeds at the line again. You see, again, a 1.5 miles an hour that time. He's within about 10, 12 truck lengths right now. When he gets him back to him, Chad, he's going to drive by. He's not going to follow him for 1 corner.
And with those fresh tires, it makes it a lot easier to maneuver your truck, whether you want to go high or low. You have more options. Look, right now he's pulled within 5 truck lengths.
Johnny Benson continues to battle with Mike Skinner. Mike Skinner's going to give him a little bump there. He said, hey, you didn't quite have me cleared. I'm going back by on the inside. But in the meanwhile, the 15 truck of Shane Meal is looking for the lead.
Dominating performance right now by Shane Meal. Ray, what's happening?
Well, Rick, I was just wondering what the guys up there in the booth would you think about rear-end gear selection. Just about everybody in this garage today had a 411 gear, but Shane Meal has a lot more in that, about 30 points more. That's because he's got a DEI engine, and they can really turn that thing a lot of RPMs. Will that be an advantage or a disadvantage for him in these closing laps?
If he has fresh tires, it would be an advantage, but right now they don't have any fresh tires. So I think the advantage still goes right now to Shane Meal with those tires. Tires make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, Ray, DEI wants to turn these truck engines about 95 or 9,600 RPMs. Most of these other teams probably are turning about 9,100 tops. But Shane, they wanted to put more gear in that truck, and nobody are looking to go to the outside for the lead.
Shane Meal tucking in behind the 30 of Todd Bodine. They go down the back stretch. Shane Meal's going to look to the inside as they go through 3 and 4. They both run down on the line. Shane Meal trying to get almost on the inside of the line. As he comes out of turn number 4, he's going to stay tucked behind the 30.
Todd's going to do everything he can at this point to make the truck as wide as possible, to upset the groove that he sees Shane running in. And it's difficult to do when the truck behind you has fresher tires.
I'll tell you, it looks like Shane Meal's going to try to move to the outside again. Let's see if Todd moves up. He does move up to block him again. Remember, Shane Meal, when he got to Todd, it looks like he might have got a little bit arrow tight right now. I thought he was going to drive right by him in 1 corner. Look at him move to the outside again. Looks like he's got up beside him.
There he goes for the lead. Shane
Actually
Meal
lost a little bit of ground right there.
Not able to catch up with Todd Bodine. He's made it all the way up here. He's running so much faster than Todd Bodine. And now it looks like Todd Bodine might have been playing a little bit of possum there.
No, he wasn't playing possum. What happens is it's catching him is one thing, passing him is another. When you get behind a truck that's still running fast, the guy in front's got better aerodynamics on his truck. It turns better. The guy behind loses some of that advantage. Aerodynamically, the truck doesn't quite turn as good.
There's a few lap trucks in front of. There's a group of 3 trucks running together right now in front of these trucks. We'll see if that's going to play a role in what goes on with the outcome of this race. You see him side by side right in front of him.
And 3 laps to go. Todd Bodine in front of Shane Meal.
Side by side right in front of him. There's 61 of Scott Lynch. Todd gets by him cleanly.
No holding up right now. Todd can't wait at all.
Looks like he lost a little bit of momentum there. Look at Shane. Pulls right up behind him, but Todd's using the 88 truck of Tracy Hines as a pick.
Nose to tail, Todd Bodine in front
Tracy
of Shane
Hines
Meal.
Almost gets into the quarter panel of Shane Meal right there. You saw Tracy get loose.
This time by the grandstand. 2 laps to go.
Shane Meal is trying everything he can think of to try to get by Todd Bodine. He's tried him on the inside. He's tried him on the outside. Not quite able to complete the pass.
We saw David Ruderman's hand up in the air. That's the professional thing to do. As you see Todd making his truck still real wide coming out. Turn up 2. David is saying, go ahead and get me on the outside, guys. I know you're the leaders coming. I'm going to give you plenty of room.
Down to the bottom of the track through 3 and 4. Shane Meal right up behind the 30 of Todd Bodine. He loosens him up, and as he comes out of turn number 4, Shane Meal takes over the top spot.
A little bump and run. We've seen it happen many times before. What a great job by Shane Meal.
That's textbook right there. That's how you do it. Just a little contact, make them get loose, turns underneath them, and makes the pass.
The final lap, Shane Meal looking for his first ever win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Todd Bodine falling back away from him, and it looks as though the Whitaker Farms number 15 of Shane Meal may claim its first win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
He drove up right behind Todd Bodine, got him a little bit loose, bumped him, and here he goes.
Coming out of turn number 4, Shane Meal will win the Las Vegas 350.
Richie Waters is a pretty happy guy right now. He told me earlier today, he said, we keep running like we have, and I think we're going to eventually get one of these things. There's Todd Bodine. I'm sure he's probably not real happy with how Shane Meal was able to make that pass, but Shane was so much faster than Todd was, and he got it right behind him, right in the corner, got him a little bit loose, had to probably get Todd off the throttle and bumped him a little bit. There's Don Arnold, one of the owners of Todd's truck. Got to be pretty happy with that second place run.
A career best run for Todd Bodine. His best coming into this was a 4th. Shane Meal twice this year has been 2nd in NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series races. His patience has paid off as he claims his first win in his 19th start in the truck.
You know, this is a big deal for Shane. It puts a lot of closure to what happened to him at the end of last year. He's penalized by NASCAR. Went through some troubling times, was actually disciplined, out of racing for a short period of time, went through some rehab. He did a really good job of meeting what some criteria NASCAR says. It really puts some closure on that. It shows that Shane Meal is back and it means business.
Celebration for Shane Meal as he claims his first ever win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. The pass for the win by Todd Bodine. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is presented by Craftsman. Moments ago, Shane Meal celebrating his first ever Truck Series win with
the helmet toss.
A souvenir to the fans. He throws his helmet over the catch fence, and one lucky fan sprints down, and that is a valuable souvenir he just gave up.
I'd say being happy is an understatement, wouldn't you?
I think this was a long time in the coming. Let's go down now to victory lane.
Meal getting ready to climb out of his truck. He thoroughly enjoyed those victory donuts on the front stretch. His crew is not even in victory lane. They were in the first pit stall. So a long trek for your crew. They're not even here in victory lane yet.
They need to be here. I can't believe I won a race. I mean,
those fresh tires.
I never get them, man. My fresh tires, my pit crew, my engine. Some lucky fan has got my first win helmet, so I hope they like that, because I've worked my butt off from where I was a year ago, and everybody that's stuck behind me, and there's more wins to come. I mean, we should have won 5 or 6 this year, and we won one, thank goodness. I want to thank everybody, Whitaker Farm, Billy Blue, everybody. I mean, great truck.
I know after all those second place finishes, it's got to feel great to finally get one. Tell us about that bump and getting around Todd Bodine.
Well, he was a little better than me, kind of, when I got behind him. And, you know, I had to bump him to win, and he wasn't pissed. I'm surely not. And I won the race. That's all I can say.
All right, Shane Meal, he actually complained about that engine at one point during the race. And then at the end, he thought that DE Power was getting it done as his crew finally in victory lane to celebrate with him, pouring water all over him. Shane Meal, his first victory ever in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, right?
Oh, Wendy, let's talk to Todd Bodine, because that was an outstanding run. I tell you, he had some fresh tires, but it was a good run.
It was. This Toyota Tundra, the whole Jermaine Arnold team, just fantastic. I can't tell you how happy we are. This is as good as a win for us. Our third race out with this Tundra. Proud and just tickled to be a part of this Toyota family. I mean, this is such a great outfit to be a part of. the engineering support they give us. I mean, it's just incredible. And to get a second, you know, everybody's like, are you mad at Shane? Are you mad? No, I'm not mad. You know, he raced hard. He had 20 laps, fresher tires, and I was getting tight in the middle. That's to be expected. I'm happy for them. They deserve it. They've run good a lot, and they deserve to finally win one.
Well, a lot of people got their eye on you, and what a great deal this team has done so far, just coming out with a few races this year. We'll be back with more to wrap it up from Las Vegas right after these messages.
Shane Meal enjoying his first visit to Victory Lane. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Todd Bodine with a great finish, coming home second. Johnny Benson continues to impress. Top 5 finish.
Sure does. His third top 5 of the year in that Toyota, Bill Davis's Toyota. Bobby Hamilton, our point leader, great top 5 run.
Rick Crawford finishing just outside of the top 10.
How about J.R. Patton? We didn't see much of him this race. Top 15, first ever Craftsman Truck Series start.
Lap down, David Rudiman in 17th.
There's Matt Crafton back in 22nd. That's going to put a serious damper on his point situation. Had engine trouble there late in the race.
And Carl Edwards in 33rd with engine problems. Definitely puts him maybe out of the points contention. We look at the point standings, the Ford point standings. Bobby Hamilton holds on to the top spot. Dennis Setzer 39 points out. Carl Edwards dropping to 125 points away from the top spot. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is brought to you by Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR and the NHRA. The continuing research and development of Toyota in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series has been very exciting to watch. Let's take a closer look in this week's Toyota Spotlight. Wendy standing by with Johnny Benson.
Johnny Benson follows up his third place finish at Loudon with a fourth place here tonight. How was your truck? I know you didn't have fresh tires. Looks like fresh tires were the key.
There was, you know, right there at the end, I was slipping and sliding pretty hard. Me and Mike Skinner had a pretty good race going there and swapped spots there about 5-6 times last 10 laps. So it was a good run. Congratulations to Shane Meal and the guys. And like I say, good run for them. It's cool to see a first-time winner.
All right, Johnny Benson, happy with the fourth place finish. Brings home the Toyota Spotlight, Ray.
And Steve Park had a third place finish, and you're not happy with that.
It's great not to be happy with the third place finish, but actually I'm happy. Just want to say hello to my mom, dad, my dog Harley back home. He's watching too, and just want to thank Mr. Gahn and his wife Paula for giving me the opportunity to race the Orleans Dodge and come here out to Vegas. And I mean, just a bunch of race fans out here, and just come home third. We're pretty happy about that, but we had a truck all night long we thought we could win with, and we just got real loose on that last set of tires and really couldn't run with those guys for the win. So a little disappointed, but just want to say hello to, like I said, my mom and dad back home, and just thank Michael and Paula for the opportunity to race Orleans Dodge. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks Steve Park, and he finishes third.
Spectacular night of racing in Las Vegas, and we've seen this before. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series just continues to build the drama as we get closer to that chase for the championship.
We're going to see a lot of the same thing at Fontana next week. Hey, we got to talk about Bobby Hamilton. He came in here, he's been reeling a little bit, came in here with a good strong top 5 run. He ended up finishing ahead of all his closest point pursuers. He gained points on everybody behind him. So a great run by Bobby Hamilton with maybe coming in here with not as much confidence as he probably needed to have.
And one guy he's got to worry about next week in California is Ted Musgrave. 3 years in a row he's won that race at California.
Remember, he made adjustments in that race at California last year. He made the same kind of adjustments here, moved the rear end housing around, came back to a strong top 10 finish, finished in 8th position. So those guys are going to be ready next week also.
Crowd here got a spectacular show, and that's what you would expect at Las Vegas, to see a great show, and they saw it here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
We had a good crowd last year and even a better crowd this year. This racetrack does such a good job promoting their events. I'm really happy to come here and can't wait to come back.
Exciting night for Shane Meal as he claims the top spot, his first ever win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. We expected it. He's been running very strong all year. He's had 2 second-place finishes, and he finally gets that first win of the year.
How about that call by Richie Waters to put fresher tires on? He had fresher tires than anybody in the field.
And somebody has Shane Meal's winning helmet.